Welcome everyone to today's webinar on the topic BigBlueButton session on BigBlueButton. Thank for joining us. In this session, you will get to learn how to get started with BigBlueButton. Consultation from 3E team on doing capacity planning for your organization. And last but not the least, how BigBlueButton works when integrated with LMS. So without further delay, let's start the session.
So, before I get into deeper about the features and other stuff, so let me set a base that what is BigBlueButton. For those who doesn't know what is BigBlueButton, BigBlueButton is a web conferencing system designed for online learning and virtual classrooms, and it's an open source solution available under GNU as a general public license. And if you want to read more about this license, we'll post a link towards the end of this session. You can take a look and read more about that. What are the licenses terms, open source licensing terms here. And since it is an open source solution, you require your own infrastructure to run this web conferencing tool. And we'll talk about it, that what type of infrastructure will be required for. So, coming to the features about BigBlueButton, BigBlueButton covers most of the features, and in fact, there are some unique features which it offers. So, if I talk about the generic features, it allows you to have public chat, private chat, webcam sharing, and then you can record the videos. Okay. Now, talking about the unique features here, the shared notes is something which you won't find in other web conferencing tools. Then there is whiteboard functionality as well. And another thing is the breakout rooms. So you can also play some external videos if you want to play it through the dashboard directly from here. So we're going to see these features in working state. So I'll take you through a quick demo. So let's start with the demo. Okay, I'll be sharing my screen, and let me know if you're able to see the screen. So if you are having any trouble seeing the screen, probably you can drop a private message to Shashank or Viresh through your participant panel. They will be able to help you. So I hope my screen is visible, and the page which you're seeing is basically the landing page of a Greenlight software. Let me do a quick introduction of a Greenlight software as well. Greenlight software comes as a package with BigBlueButton. Okay, so those of you who doesn't want to use BigBlueButton integrated with your application, and you just want to use it as a standalone application and quickly want to start sharing the meeting links, so Greenlight is your way. Now the interface which you're seeing is not the standard Greenlight interface. This is something which we have customized, and we offer this as part of our services, where we customize this landing page as per your branding, and we can add the content for you. Okay, so this is how we have right now customized. Again, this can be customized as per your needs. You have the option to ask your users to sign up, and at the same time, once they have registered with the system, they can sign in as well. Okay, so I'll sign in as one of the users which I have already created on the system. Once you have logged in, you will be presented with a dashboard like this, where you will see the name of the meeting room and some information, some actions like copy the meeting link. As you can see, there is a meeting link, and then there is an option for add to Google Calendar, and you can start the meeting. Below that, you will also see there are other meeting rooms which are available under your account. So the idea behind this is you want to have separate meeting rooms for different topics. Okay? And this functionality enables you to do so. You can also see the recordings. If you have done any recordings with respect to any meeting room, you can see them as well. So as you can see, there are some homeroom recordings available here. You can create a new room. If you want, you can create a new room. You can give it some name, like sample demo room. And if you want your participants to uh, join using an access code, you can generate an access code and share that as well. Otherwise, if you don't want, you can just remove this access code. While creating the meeting room, you will also see that there are some additional options like mute users when they join. You can set some pre pre-joining rules. So require moderator approval before joining, automatically joining me into the room. So basically, these controls will help you gain or protect or add some additional security in your meeting rooms which you are creating. So once this meeting room is created, it will start appearing in your list. Okay, so there are other functionalities as well. Basically, this dashboard which you're seeing is going to be available to all the users, and it will have the same look and feel. The few things which will change here are this organization option. So it varies from role to role. Okay, so since I am an administrator of this system, I have the option to manage the organization. So if I go under the organization section, it gives me the capability to manage my users. So it has got its own user management system where there are users who are trying to register on the system and waiting for your approval as an administrator. So you will see them under pending list, and if you have banned any user, they will appear under banned, or if you have deleted any user, it will appear under deleted. Now, similarly, there are server rooms. Server rooms are nothing but your meeting rooms. Okay. So you can see if you're an organization admin, you can see all the rooms which have been created across the organization. And you will also have the access to all the server recordings. Yes, this functionality is not accessible to a generic user. As you can see, if I go and check the list of users, so I have this role as user, and there will be some admins as well. So there are a few admins and there are many users here. So users doesn't have the capability to access this organization section. Coming to the site settings, here you can manage the appearance of your Greenlight software. At the same time, you can do some administration stuff like you can set some privacy policy, terms of use. You can set some maintenance banner. If you're performing some perk maintenance, then you can set the maintenance flag and that banner will appear on your site. Of course, there are some additional settings which allows you to decide how your registration should happen, how your authentication should happen, okay, and whether the users will be able to share the rooms or not with the other users on this platform. So there are some additional administrative options which are available to you. Okay. Now you can have some control default configuration, room configuration as well applied to all the rooms which are created by default. Okay, so if you want in all the rooms that users, whenever they join, they should be joined in the mute mode. This can be applied globally. Okay, so this can be applied always enabled, but right now this is optional here. All these settings basically comes under your administrator and the organization section. So let's go back, and what we'll do is we'll launch a meeting room and see how it appears. So to launch the meeting room, you can just click on start, So I've selected this webinar room and I'll start this. To avoid the echo with the current call, I'll just join in the listen mode only. But the idea behind microphone and the listen mode is that if you want to use the microphone or want to speak or you want to present something, then you can join it as a microphone, join using microphone option. Otherwise, if you just want to join as a listener, you can use the listen only mode.
Only person in this conference.
So the moment I join, so here we have done a setting that it will ask the user to even prompt for the webcam. Again, this is one setting which can be controlled if you don't want the users to by default be prompted for enabling their webcam. This can be disabled. So for this session, I'll just cancel this. Now, as you join or start a meeting, you will see a 3-column layout by default. So this section, the darker section, background section, is basically your content section where all the screen sharing and the webcam related data will be shown to you. Plus you have got some additional controls. This is a public chat section and this can be minimized as well, so which provides you additional space. Now coming to the third section, that is the participant section. Here you will see the list of participants who has joined the meeting. And additionally, you have the option like shared notes. And yeah, so there is another option, manage users. I'll come to that. So if you look at the public chat message, this is not the standard message which you get on the BigBlueButton. This has been customized, and this is something which we offer as a service where we can customize this message for your needs. So all the meetings which get started in your organization will have this standard public message. Okay, and it can have a branding content as well, as like for example logo. Okay, and you can also see as a moderator, you will have an option to see the meeting link, which again you can share it with your individual users who you want to join this meeting as a participant. To save more space, you can just minimize that and it will go away. Now, looking at this section, so you have got, as you saw, that there is a default presentation coming up. This is again a customization which we have done. This is not by default behavior of any BigBlueButton meeting. So the idea behind here is if you want some specific banners to be shown to your participants the moment they join the meeting, even in some cases where some default content should be uploaded for the meeting to be ready. So all this can be configured. So looking at the options which a moderator has. So moderator has got an option. If you see, there is a plus icon over here. Here there is an option called share an external video and upload a presentation and start a poll. So I'll show you what is share an external video. The idea here is you can, if you have got any external videos on YouTube or Vimeo or some other platform, you can just share the link directly over here. Let me show you how it works. So I'll just copy one link here, and I've added a YouTube video, and you should be able to see the video playing. course, you get all the options, controls which the YouTube player will offer. And if you are done with the video and you want to go back to your presentation, what you need to do is just stop sharing the external video and it will take you back to your presentation. So that was about playing an external video. Similarly, you can add any external video from the platforms which are sharing the public videos. So this is good for sharing some references when an instructor is teaching and they want to share they have found some good videos and they want to share with the learners. So this kind of feature will help the instructors. So coming to the upload a presentation option, this is something where if the instructor wants to use some presentation for the for the teaching purpose, and there are a couple of cases here. One is whoever is the presenter or the instructor, they can upload a presentation for teaching. At the same time, if they want to use the whiteboard functionality, they can upload a blank PPT. So let me show you how that works. I'll upload a blank PPT here. I have already created one. So here I'm uploading, as you can see, the first file which was already there was default.pdf, and now the file which I'm uploading is a 15 slides blank PDF. So let me upload this. Once it is uploaded, you will have, you can see there are around 15 slides. So whatever number of pages which you have in your PPT or file will appear over here. So the way these blank PPT helps is we can make use of the annotation tools which the whiteboard functionality offers here. So suppose if you want to draw some shapes for explaining or for teaching your students, this can be utilized for that purpose. Okay, so you also have got the option to undo the last change or last annotation which you have added. Also, you have the option to completely clear all annotations. So there is another functionality available here to have a collaboration on the whiteboard itself. So suppose if you want your learners or your students as an instructor, you want them to collaborate on some PPT which you have uploaded and help use this collaboration tool for a combined learning. So then there is an option for enabling this multi-user whiteboard as well. So once it is enabled, all the participants can also, you can see that Shashank and even Viresh can draw something. Yeah. Okay. So this is one good functionality to actually enable the collaboration on some PPT if the instructor wants. So other options which are available here is as a moderator, there will be an option to share your screen. So when you click on share on screen, it will give you the option either you can share your entire screen or you can share some application window or you can share some tab as well. And we'll start the screen share. So on this main section, there is another option as a moderator where you can start the recording. So if I want to start the session, record the session as a moderator, so I can just click on start recording and it will start collecting the recording data. Here. Now coming to the left panel, which is also called as participant panel. what you see is a public chat. The public chat can be used by all the participants if it is enabled by the moderator. So I can say hi Shashank, and Shashank can also send me back a message. At the same time, Viresh can also type back. So other option, if I don't want to send a public message, probably if I want to ask a specific question to Shashank as an instructor. Okay, so I can send a message. What is the square of 2? So he can reply back privately. So this is the functionality of private chat. Another unique feature, as I was mentioning towards the start of the session, is shared notes. This helps the students and even the moderators to collect and share the common notes. So it could be something like an handout, or it could be some notes which was collected by the. What I'll do is I'll just stop the recording. Yeah. So it could be some towards the end of the meeting, some notes can be shared by the instructors, or students might be taking some common notes which can be later downloaded by each of these participants. So there are different formats available in which these notes can be downloaded, like HTML, plain text, Microsoft Word, PDF. There are almost all the options which is widely used is available here. So this was a shared notes functionality. So now coming to the manage user section, as you can see, if I am the moderator, I can see there is a cogwheel appearing to me. So as a moderator, I can perform some actions on all the participants which are available in this, or which are there in this meeting. So one thing is clear all status icons. So basically the status is nothing but you can actually set your status, like if you want to raise hand, you can set your status as raise hand. So that way the instructor will understand that you want to ask some question or you have some queries, and after the instructor has answered your query, you can, as a moderator, you can clear that status. And for it also allows you to clear all the status icons at once as well. So instead of going one by one, you can clear the status in one go from here. If you want all the users to be muted, you can mute them. And this is one very helpful action where you don't want the presenter to be muted and you want only the participants to be muted. So this is one helpful functionality which will mute all the users except presenter. So the functionality here is save username. So sometimes if you want to take down the list of the users who have attended this session, so this is another functionality which helps. So it downloads all the names in a .txt file, and the names will be available. Another powerful powerful option here is this locked viewers. Now, locked viewers allows you to get control over how your participants are going to behave in the meeting or in a session. So if you don't want to share them the webcam, you can lock that. If you don't want them to see the other viewers' webcam, you can lock that as well. If you don't want them to share their microphone, you can lock that. If you don't want them to send any public chat messages, again that can be controlled. So similarly, you can control private chat messages, whether they can send it or not, whether they can agree to share notes or not, and whether they can see other viewers or other participants in this user list. So again, this is in cases where if we are conducting a webinar like here, then this can be a helpful functionality. And once this is applied, it will be applied to all the users. So as you can see now, the status of all the users who were there in this participant in this meeting are blocked, and they will not have the privileges to play around with the control which I have blocked. So coming to another functionality which is unique here is create breakout rooms. The way it can be helpful is, suppose an instructor is taking a class, online class, and they want the team, they want all the learners to be divided into multiple groups and do some discussion about a particular topic and then come back with some conclusion. Then this is where these breakout rooms will be helpful. So you can decide how many rooms do you want and what is the duration for which the participants in each of these breakout rooms should be discussing. Suppose if I set it to 1 minute, and as a moderator, I have the option to actually decide that who will be there in each room. So right now, since it is 2 rooms only, I can decide that, okay, probably Anmol and Viresh will be in one room, and if there are other participants also, then they can be added here. And once it is done, you can create the breakout room, and it will start this basically starts a sub meeting after, and there will be a timer for that. Once that timer ends, the participants will again come back to your main meeting. So right now we are not completing a demo of it. Probably what we'll do is we'll share a link of a video in the public chat where you can see this functionality working. So this is just to avoid the conflicts with this session. Otherwise, there is nothing specific about it. So this was mainly about the overview of the features which are available in BigBlueButton dashboard. And to end the meeting, you can just click on that 3 dots and click on End Meeting, which will close the meeting which we started. And you will come back to your green light dashboard again. The recordings, whatever recordings was created, that will be available after a certain period of time, because it takes time to process, probably after 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes, depending upon how long the meeting was, your recordings will start appearing. So this was a quick glimpse of BigBlueButton, and we'll move to the next slide. So that is capacity planning. So on the capacity plan, this is a very commonly asked questions to us that most of the people ask, what type of infrastructure is required for running a BigBlueButton server. Okay. So we have done some, we have taken some considerations also, sample considerations as well, which will help you understand what are the different metrics which are considered here while coming up with the infrastructure requirement. So suppose we consider that under each session 30 participants are going to be required. This is one of the, suppose this is one requirement. And under each session, there will be 1 or 2 instructors who will be sharing their webcam at a 320 pixel. And each webcam feed will actually account for 0.25 MB per second. And this basically decides your bandwidth requirement. And we can also consider that, okay, we will be having 4 concurrent sessions. We'll be having 4 concurrent sessions, and under each session there will be 30 participants. So And you also want to do recording of all these sessions which you're going to conduct. So as we are assuming, let's consider that there will be 8 hours of recording in a day. And the size of each 1 hour recording, actually, it comes around 100 MB. That is what we have noticed. So overall, if there are two moderators in each session, so this is how it can be concluded. So probably all these things which we have considered, it boils down to 120 to 130 concurrent users at a given time, right? And there will be 8 to 10 concurrent webcams. And in a month's time, probably you will be utilizing 150 GB of recording. So if you consider this as our requirement. And for this, the server recommendations are, so to meet the desired requirement, the server recommendations will be, you will require a Ubuntu 16.0 for 64-bit machine, and it is recommended to have a dedicated bare metal server because there is a component called free switch, which basically takes care of audio routing, and it runs best with the bare metal server. So that is the reason it is recommended to have a bare metal server with BigBlueButton. The 8 GB RAM is sufficient for it, but we would recommend to have a 16 GB RAM so that in case of overshoot, memory overshoot, you should be able to basically you should not be able to run out of the memory in that case. The 4 CPU cores is good enough, and 500 GB to 1 TB storage is again good enough for up to 5 to 6 months of recording. You can keep around, you can consider that, and of course the SSL certificate is required here. You can purchase your own SSL certificate, and there is an option to set up the certificates through Let's Encrypt also, which will give you a certificate of a 3 months validity. We can set up some rules where these certificates get auto-renewed before it actually expires. Bandwidth-wise, a 250 MB per second bandwidth is good enough for what we just saw on the requirement side. Swap memory also can be added if you are going with a 8 GB RAM. Swap memory works best if you are going to have a SSD on your server, because that almost becomes equivalent to your RAM input-output speed. So of course IPv4 and IPv6 address also should be available on your machine. Now, if your requirement is beyond that, okay, and you want to scale further, if you see that your need is approaching the limits of your server, so what are the next steps you can do? Okay, so first thing is plan your meetings efficiently. So if it is possible to distribute your meetings or distribute your sessions in such a way that you don't cross your server limits, like if your server can hold up to 130 users, concurrent users. So plan in such a way that you don't go beyond. So have your multiple sessions also in such a way that it doesn't crosses that 130 concurrent users. So if it is not possible, if you are jam-packed and it doesn't give you, if you don't have any scope of planning your meetings efficiently, then the next step which can be planned is a load balancer based setup. A load balancer based setup basically is nothing but you have a load balancer and run multiple pools of BigBlueButton server behind it. So that way your load balancer will become the endpoint for your applications or whichever tool you are using to launch the BigBlueButton meetings. And it will take care of deciding on which server it has to routed to, so that your load can be distributed among multiple BigBlueButton servers. Third thing is auto scaling. It is a bit complex, and this is something requires a detailed elaboration and the rules and configuration. But the idea here is you don't need to run all your pool of servers all the time, because you may not need. Suppose you in a given time your need may be that you will have to run 400 concurrent users, but at some other time your need will be to run 100 concurrent users. Okay, so that time you don't need to run additional servers. You can just bring them down, and that way you can save on the cost side. Coming to the storage side, so if let's say you have a limitation on the storage and you don't want to add more money on the storage side, then plan your cleanups. So if you know that your storage runs out every 6 months, okay, so plan your cleanups every 5 months, where you can take the older recordings and transfer it to some cheap storage or your local storage. So that way you will have enough storage all the time. And the better way would be to have a network mounted drive on your system, where because these days most of the cloud providers are giving an option to scale your drive as and when you want. Suppose if you have initially taken a drive of 1 TB, later you realize that okay, now you have to extend further to 2 TB. So you can always scale it to 2 TB and without affecting any configuration or any architecture changes on your BigBlueButton side. So that way your overhead to cleanups, regular cleanups, will also be reduced. So the only thing which you'll have to do is just scale the hard drive which are mounted on the network. So now coming to the BigBlueButton integration with LMS. As you already saw, BigBlueButton can be used as a standalone application. Now we'll do a quick demo of how BigBlueButton can also be integrated with the LMS software. So let me do a screen sharing here. Okay, so this is one of the LMS software which we have. It's built on top of Moodle, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to log in as an administrator, and I'll show you the workflow. The same workflow can be applied to an instructor and the faculty. Once I have entered the credentials, I'll be logged in and I'll be presented with an interface which will look something like this. Again, this interface is customizable, and this is the interface which we have customized for our needs and for our solution. And as an admin, I can see additional information of the server as well here. At the same time, it shows me the recently accessed courses and some of the courses which are accessible to me. So as you can see, there is a virtual classroom course or feature which is available here. I can go over, I can just click on this card and it takes me inside and gives me some additional information like the name of the app. So this is nothing but an activity. Here also we have integrated BigBlueButton, and this appears like an activity here which students can join and take the classroom. So suppose the activity name is Live Classroom Physics, and it is mentioning me the conference room is ready. You can join the session now. And so far there are no recordings available for this particular activity. I can join the session, but before that, I'll show you some additional administrative or even the instructors will have this privilege where they can make changes into the settings of this activity. So currently, as you saw, that the virtual classroom name was like classroom physics. If I want, I can change it to like classroom biology. There, as a instructor or an admin, I have the option to send notifications to the user about this particular activity or about this particular classroom, which is going to be conducted on this LMS platform. Then I have some additional room settings. So as you saw, there is a public message which is always shown. So in that public message, I can change that public message and have my own custom message added through this window. Then in some cases, there will be a requirement that presentation should be uploaded even before the meeting starts. So the presentations, let's say be it PPT or PDF, can be uploaded through this interface, and the same PPT will appear once the meeting will start. Then another options or the other options which our instructor will have is to decide who all should be the participants here. So the participants can be chosen by user by selecting the username, or it can be some role as well. It can be based on some role. So we have some roles over here. So all the learners can act as a participants here if I add that. Okay, it's already added here, so I will not be adding it again. Or all the users who are enrolled onto this particular course which I was showing, or the activity which I was showing you. So they can be by default added as the participants here. Other than the added participants, if anyone else tries to join this link, they will not be allowed to do so. So other options we have here is to enable and disable the timing. So you can schedule the session to start at a particular time. So if I say that, okay, the session should start at 1951, that is 1 minute from now. And here I mentioned it should end in 4 to 5 minutes. Okay, so in the next 3 minutes it will end. So this rule can be added. And then there are some additional LMS level actions which are also available. Like for example, if I want to add some restrictions based on date or grade, if until unless the user has obtained some grade, the user should not be allowed to access this link, then all those settings can also be added over here. So I can just click on save and display. So it will take me back to this interface where you can see it is showing me like classroom biology since I changed the name. And the session is ready because it's already 1951 here. I can join the session. So when I join the session, I don't need to log in again anywhere. Okay. And
Only person in this conference.
So I don't need to log in again. And as you can see, whatever the name I had on the LMS side, the same name is taken up on the BigBlueButton side. So this is something which is possible because BigBlueButton is LTI compatible, and it just passes the name and the session information on the BigBlueButton side. And the moment I end this meeting, because this interface we have already seen, it's the same interface which we saw as part of our demo of the BigBlueButton. So I'll not cover it again here. And what I'll do is I'll just try to end this meeting and see what happens. So the moment I end this meeting, it takes me back to my LMS site. So that's a seamless integration which is possible with with an LMS, or it could be any of your third-party application, which can be integrated with BigBlueButton in a similar manner. So this was all about a quick demo about of how BigBlueButton can be integrated with LMS. So I think for today's session, we'll stop here. Probably now, if we have any questions, then we can take up those questions. We can also send your queries at actually 3b_info@3software.com. Let me see what all questions we have. We'll try to take a few questions and see. So one of the question is, how many participants can be there on a BigBlueButton session? So in one session, we suggest not to cross 100 participants, because it has its own impact on the underlying hardware. Because as I mentioned, FreeSwitch is something which is being used here to handle the audio. So we suggest not to have more than 100 participants, but we have tested it actually for 120 to 130 participants as well, and it works fine with that. So how many users can be supported by BigBlueButton server? So I think the capacity planning which I had explained here, that must have given you some idea. So it depends upon what type of server you're using. Of course, there is a minimum recommended server. At the same time, there is a trade-off as well here. Suppose if you have taken a 16 GB server, and 16 GB server is good enough to handle up to 150 users. Okay, and it is not recommended to keep one of your server to handle more than 150 users in general. So after that, it is recommended, if you want to scale further, you go with an approach of load balancers. Okay, so because FreeSwitch is the main component here which requires the server resources, and it cannot go beyond a particular level. So that's the limitation here. So it is recommended to have small pool of servers. I mean, small servers, and have them set up in a pool, in a cluster, and run a load balancer behind it. So another question is there a mobile application for BigBlueButton? So no, as of now there is no mobile application, because it's a WebRTC based solution, and WebRTCs are right now supported only for the browsers only, and you can still access it on your mobile browser, and it works completely fine. Another question we have is Greenlight mandatory to use BigBlueButton? Greenlight, as I mentioned to you, it comes as a package with BigBlueButton. If you are looking for an integration with your application, and we are planning an additional integration, a separate integration with your application, then you will not require Greenlight at all. Okay, because ultimately, Greenlight also utilizes the endpoints or the APIs of BigBlueButton. So Greenlight is a way to quickly start with BigBlueButton and start sharing the meeting links. So that's the added advantage of Greenlight. So then we have a question like, we plan to run a webinar over BigBlueButton. We are planning around 100 participants. We don't want the participants to share their audio and video. 3 or 4 people from our team will need to share their audio and video. is BigBlueButton good enough for this? How can we get this done? I think you saw a live example of it. We are already doing it. In the demo process, I think I have already shown you as well that how you can get control over it. So there is a lock viewer section which is available to all moderators, and where you can get a control about control on disabling the audio and video part for the participants, and you can promote your team members as a moderator so that they will have the option to share the audio and video. So that's how we can go about it. So your one other question is, our team has been struggling to install BigBlueButton successfully on Ubuntu 18.04. Any documentation you can provide? We may not be able to provide any specific documentation here. Probably if you can send the information about which version of BigBlueButton you are trying to install. Okay, because as I had mentioned, BigBlueButton 2.2, if you're trying to install BigBlueButton 2.2, it is going to be only compatible with Ubuntu 16.04. I have clearly mentioned in my capacity planning notes. So if you're trying to install BigBlueButton 2.2, then I would suggest you shift to 16.04. And when the stable version of BigBlueButton 2.3 3 will be available, then you can go ahead for Ubuntu 18.04. I think because of the shortage of time, we'll have to stop here. And what we'll do is we'll look at the other queries which we haven't been able to take up in this session. We'll try to send you the response over email. So please, if you have any additional queries, you can always drop your queries at 3b_info@3softec.com, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. So that's about today's session. I think, Sachank, anything else from your side?
No, Anmol. So we can close the session.
Okay. Okay. I think thanks for joining, everyone. Hope it was a fruitful session for you, and we'll try to answer your queries over email. So, Sachank, I think you have already collected, Sachank and Girish, they're collecting the queries. We will try to reach out to with the response to those for which we haven't been able to answer queries today. Thank you.
Thank you, Anmol.
To get in touch with our team, please connect with us at hello@3softec.com. Thank you.